Good stuff, Mike.
We're going to pivot, talk a little Browns, guys, and a quick reminder, if you want to bet on the NBA Finals. I said Cavs.
No, you did. You said Browns.
You said Browns.
We're going to talk a little Cavs now with the reminder that FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark tonight. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to win big and add that to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So, guys, the other day, TheRinger made its top 25 under 25 list, and they took a bunch of different categories into consideration to make this list. And before we tell you guys where Darius Garland and Evan Mobley landed on the list, I want to give you the 5 categories they used to make a composite score for each player to then put them in rankings. These are the 5 categories TheRinger used to grade the players and then put them in rankings. Their current play and performance, their potential, their intangibles, the ability to build a team around said player, and then their marketability and charisma.
What does that last one have to do with their performance, though?
Nothing.
All right, that's a weird one. I like the rest.
I didn't make it. I'm just telling you what they did.
Maybe it has to do with trading, like trade.
I guess, yeah. All right.
What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Trade value.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, Mike.
So we'll start with Darius Garland, who came in at number 24 on this list. Now, for each player, they gave you a little bit of the good and a reason for doubt. Now, I'm going to put this on the screen. It's long. I'm just going to read a little snippet of it.
The list was 25, you said?
25 under 25. Okay. So under 25 years old, 25 best players. Darius Garland came in at number 24. You're going to see a graphic with a bunch of words. I'm just going to read a little snippet of it. I'll give you the good. I'll give you the bad. Then we'll look at Mobley, the good and the bad, and then we'll figure out whether or not these guys are properly ranked, if they're being overhyped by the outside national people, and if we're underrating. So this is the Garland on the good side. Part of what I'm going to read, once again, it's on TheRinger, but part of the good for Darius is Garland is a blur. Quote, perhaps the fastest player in the league with the ball in his hands, paired with an ability to grab the handbrake at a moment's notice. He is, when at his best, one of the league's most devastating pull-up shooters, but he might need a change of scenery, devoid of another ball-handling backcourt scorer like Donovan Mitchell, to reclaim the combination of dynamic shooting and distribution that earned him an all-star nod at just age 22. That was the reason for hope. The reason for doubt, Steve, take the very next graphic, is this. Garland was all out of sorts for Cleveland's first multi-series run since LeBron, averaging just 15.7 points on 42% shooting. Honestly, he's been disjointed since returning from a broken jaw injury in early January. Is that because of the lingering effects of the injury or because Mitchell grasped the reins a bit tighter in his absence? He's a 6'1" guard, limited defensive ability, but bottom line, he has potential. That's the good and the bad for Darius Garland. Before we move on to Evan Mobley, fair assessment of Darius Garland?
Yeah,
that's very fair.
Yeah,
sure.
I think the best part was when he talked about the injury part and the fact that he hasn't been the same from the broken jaw. Obviously, we was able to see that this past year, and that was frustrating. But when he's healthy and when he's right, he's a great shooter. He can handle the ball. I think he got caught doing too much this year.
I think something that's left out of there that Jason has pointed to a number of times is his concerns about his maturity. And you think that when a guy gets older, he will mature, but some guys take longer than others.
Yes.
Kyrie took a decade. Like, honestly. But
Kyrie's more talented than Darius.
Kyrie's more talented than Darius. And Kyrie was just a different, immature. Darius, I want to see him grow up a little bit more. I do. I think that's fair. And you go back to the 8-second call against, that can't happen.
Yeah, right.
And it just seems like everything's just funny. Everything's just a big joke. And maybe he does take it more seriously. It's just how he presents. But I'm just telling you, I would like to see him grow up a little bit more.
He sound like me.
I also wouldn't base everything on, like, he had a terrible year. He had a bad year. I won't say terrible. He had a bad year. But that doesn't mean he's a bad player. I do think he's better. I do think he's better than what he showed last year, which is why I think it is going to be an interesting summer, and why I kept saying, like, they don't have to trade him. I know what we reported, and I stand by what we reported 100%, and nothing has happened yet in terms of Donovan signing the contract, so there's no need for action on either side because nothing has happened yet. It's only June. But because his value is, I think, depressed a little bit right now from where it really should be, I wouldn't trade him for pennies on the dollar. If you can't get what you want for him,
true.
I'd bring him. Again, if you're going to make a trade, I think it's more important to break up the front court than it is the backcourt. I wouldn't necessarily be in a hurry to break up this backcourt.
Well, I mean, when Garland is shooting the ball at the high clip, that's what you need, shooting. And he had moments last year where he went insane on the shooting side. So no, if you're not going to replace him with another, the only upgrade over him would be a shooter with size. Like that's an upgrade.
Who doesn't need to handle the ball.
Right.
And that's the question. The best Darius Garland was pre-Donovan Mitchell.
No, because
So can we ever
Jason
see-
always says that he actually improved with Donovan.
No, I feel like his best season was without Colin, without Donovan. That 1 year, his All-Star season when he had the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
The Cavs will tell you they believe they've got the numbers to show that he was every bit as effective the first year together with Donovan. And I do think he had a good year. Like I don't
Certainly better than last year.
certainly
a lot
better than last year. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to say it doesn't work, well, you can look to last year and say it doesn't work. You can also look to 2 years ago and say, well, it worked okay.
I think that the Darius thing is interesting because I think for him to be the player that he always wanted to be, I don't think he can do it alongside Donovan. Like I think
but maybe with a new coach with a different philosophy, maybe that can happen.
it's possible.
that is
But
a
I
change
think
here.
I think that the coaching situation matters a lot because if you come in here and you show me some sets, you show me the offense that we're going to run, and it doesn't matter who's the ball handler,
Right.
wherever, if the ball is constantly swinging to the open guy, then yeah. But if you come in here and tell me it's similar to what JB did and we just going to stand and watch Donovan, then no, I'm not. I don't want to be a part of that.
No,
We're all – go ahead.
It won't be the
Yeah.
same as last year. Whatever they do from a coaching standpoint, it's going to be to fix the offense.
I think a lot of us are down, understandably so, on Darius Garland right now. I've been very down on him. I'm like, trade him.
No, he's still my
But
favorite
in reality,
Cavs player.
the wise move may be to trade him, maybe. But if you get the right coach and if you make changes in other places, it is entirely possible that the right coach, and we don't know who the right coach is, and I don't know if the Cavs have the right people to hire the right coach. But if they find the right coach and the right system, it's not crazy to think that Darius and Donovan, in some circumstances, could end up bringing out the best of each other.
Yeah.
That is possible.
It for sure is possible. Now, the one thing a new coach can't do, he can't make Darius grow.
No.
And he can't put him in bubble wrap. And
Nope.
and he is undersized, and he has had a lot of injuries.
He
And that's
better
probably
hit. He
going
better
to
hit the
continue.
weights.
That's probably going to continue.
But, Jason,
it's probably going to be a concern throughout his career.
If you find a coach that happens to connect with Darius at a certain level,
yeah.
maybe that helps him mature.
Well, that'll be by sheer luck because they're looking for a coach to connect with Donovan.
Sure. But
you know what
maybe
I'm
you
saying?
find a coach that connects with both. I'm just saying it.
Listen,
Sure, it can
He's
happen.
talented enough that it's possible. It's not like
Yes.
he's way better than Colin Sexton or Dion Waiters,
Yes.
these other guys that
Yes.
like could score and
For sure.
You know, like it's possible that that they could find the right chemistry with the right coach.
Absolutely.
It's a time in Cleveland right now that we're just getting lucky on new coaches that we hire.
Yeah.
The Browns did it with Kevin.
Right.
The Guardians is doing it with Stephen Vogt. Why can't the Cavs might as well join the line?
And there's another thing that makes it, to your point of, it makes more sense to break up the front court. For obvious reasons, you know, that it doesn't work with the two big men. But another reason is that unlike Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen's coming off a great season.
Yeah.
So his trade value is probably as high as it's going to be.
It's high as it will be. Yeah.
Go ahead, Michael. You wanted to jump in there.
Well, just quick little plug. I did a breakdown of James Borrego and how his offensive philosophy fits with the Cavs' current personnel on the Ultimate Cavs show last night. If you want to go look at that, it's about 15 minutes long.
Way to make
Bunch
it all
of different
about you,
sets. No, I'm just, Tyvis said, I wonder how an offense would look with those two. I'm
kidding.
giving you, I did a whole breakdown
Another
yesterday.
show without me. I see
Yeah,
that.
mentioned-
blowing off Jason now.
I'm telling
We mentioned Darius Garland came in at 24 on the list. I forgot to tell you who was 25 through 21. Jabari
Okay.
Smith of Houston was 25. Garland was 24. Desmond Bane of Memphis was 23. Jalen Green of Houston was 22. Jalen Johnson, a previous number 20 overall pick in the draft, he came in at 21. Going on to where Evan Mobley falls on this list, number 20 is LaMelo Ball, 19 Jaren Jackson Jr., 18 Franz Wagner, 17 Brandon Miller, and then here comes our guy Evan Mobley, tied with Trae Young for 15th.
I actually like Darius more than some of those other guys you mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I do too. We're going to get to where they all rank in
I
a
like
sec.
him higher than
This is
24.
15 through 12, though. Mobley and Young tied for 15th. Cade Cunningham, 14th. Scotty Barnes at 13. Alperen Sengun at number 12. The reason for hope, the good side of Evan Mobley. And Stevie, take the next graphic whenever you want. Mobley has flashed enough offensive potential while playing as Cleveland center with Jarrett Allen out due to injury to prove he still has room for growth on that end of the court, but the real end is the real draw, is his defense. He's already one of the NBA's best rim protectors and most versatile defenders. He may never win a Defensive Player of the Year now because Victor Wembanyama has taken the league by storm, but Mobley has already won third-place DPOY finish under his belt, with presumably plenty more to come. The reason for doubt, the downside of Evan Mobley. Mobley's made 23 three-pointers as a rookie, 22 in his second season, and 22 in his third season. He's averaged 15 or 16 points in all three. He might have shown the occasional flashes of potential, sure, but his offense on the whole hasn't improved at all. That doesn't just create an issue for Mobley's ceiling. It presents problems with roster flexibility as well because of the Cavs' challenges of playing Mobley next to another non-shooting big in Jarrett Allen. All stuff we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Fair or foul on the analysis
Well,
of Evan
that's
Mobley?
right.
Spot on.
Spot on. Yeah. No, I think it's very fair. And the one reason why I think there's reason for optimism in terms of Evan's growth and development on the offensive side was because Kobe acknowledged it's probably time to start looking more at his development and making that more of a priority. So, like, that's the organization acknowledging, yeah, we need to do a better job with him on the offensive end. Yeah. And they haven't to this point. And we've talked about that at length. And I don't necessarily kill them for that part of it because you got to win games. Once you trade for Donovan, it's about winning games at that point. It's not about Evan's development. But I do think that there was a better way to do both. And I think that there were opportunities to try and bring him along while also prioritizing winning. And I didn't see them doing that as often. And hopefully with the change at coach, that's the one instance where I kind of dinged JB on that and thought they could have done a better job of getting Evan more involved in prioritizing his development.
Do the Cavs – so what's the better option for the Cavs? Is it – like the idea all along is we got to make him an outside shooter because like almost everybody's an outside shooter in the NBA. That's a great player these days. So is the answer to we just got to work with this guy, we got to get him better at all costs, or is the answer to not have two big men anymore, to make him your center and just develop more of his interior game, his post play? Because it's not like he's got incredible moves in the post. And maybe he'd just be better off being a post player and not trying to shoot threes because it's not his thing. I don't know.
I think the better.
Mike, you were shaking your head.
Mobley does not have to be the three-point shooter, but then the other big has to be.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You could have two bigs, just one has to be a shooter.
Okay, well that's what I'm
why Allen
saying.
and Mobley don't work because neither's a shooter.
I would
But
think.
you could have Ty, one sec. You could have Mobley be your four if your center can shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be. He doesn't have to be your five and get a. It's just easier to find a shooting four than it is to find a shooting
Fine,
five.
whatever. I mean, I guess that doesn't matter, but that's what I'm saying. Do they have to? Basically, my question is he a lost cause if he can't shoot threes?
No.
Right.
What
Okay.
the problem is if they want to keep the core four, he has to become a shooter because
Right.
Jarrett's
I'm saying
not.
they're better off going to find another big guy who's a shooter rather than trying to force him to try to become a shooter.
Well, I would like that topic. I would like that because if the guy that they get is a shooter, it's not that Evan Mobley can't shoot threes. He can hit them every now and again,
Right.
which actually spaces
But that
things
doesn't
out
have to
even
be
more.
a big part of his game.
No, but it would take the weight off of his shoulders
Right.
to like I gotta become this great 3-point shooter. No, but if I'm out there and I'm wide open, I can still pull it, and everybody be fine with that.
Prior to last season, we talked about this before, when I would like poke around as the season was starting and like ask a couple other teams, what do you think about Cleveland? Anytime I would talk to other teams, it was always Mobley at center and 4 shooters around him. No one ever talked about Jarrett Allen.
Right.
And Allen had a monster year and he was great. But I'm just saying, when you talk about like the Cavs at their best or the Cavs moving forward or whatever. It's always about Evan Mobley with 4 shooters around him. So to your point, yes, you can put Evan in the middle, and it's not even finding another shooting big because those are really hard to find. The shooting 5, those are expensive and valuable and everything else. If you can't find that, Evan's your center, and you go find another
smaller team
who's a little bit smaller. And remember, JB loved size. That was JB's thing. JB loved big guys. He loved a lot of size. The new coach may not feel that way. All you do is find another shooter at the 4, and you can play Evan at the 5. So it goes back to what a lot of other teams have felt the Cavs' best when when they deploy is Evan in the middle and 4 shooters around.
I mean, I would like if they could turn Jarrett Allen into that player, right? That trade in a trade, find the player that fits that need, and play Mobley in the paint with the other 4 shooters outside.
Now you do.
I'd be fascinated to see how good he can be in that role.
But you still have to go get another center. Like you have to have another big.
Sure, but as a backup, right?
Well, and as someone who, because there are some really big centers in the league that Evan is really going to struggle with.
Sure.
Everyone wants to cling to the Boston series, and I know why, but Boston was very undersized in that series.
Yes.
If you put Evan against some of the bigger centers in the league, he's going to struggle.
Wait a minute.
Even if you move off of Jarrett, you still have to have another big.
But
go in there
that
and
still goes against what I said anyways. Who are you talking about? What center?
Embiid.
Jokic.
I mean, Drummond.
Drummond is a great example.
Who's stopping them anyway?
No, that's why I like
Drummond's the better example.
Drummond?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Andre Drummond. They're your 3.
Okay, and the funny thing is when we played them with Jarrett, he still was the same thing. They still got Drummond still had 20 rebounds.
Yeah. They push these guys around.
Mitchell Robinson still had a bunch of rebounds. So it ain't gonna matter.
Right.
They
need a center.
You still have to have somebody.
You got to have somebody, but I'm saying
center.
if you move off of Jarrett wasn't stopping them from doing that anyway.
But somebody else could. Like, Andre Drummond is not the player that he was 10 years ago. He should not be eating you alive for 20 rebounds in a game.
He did it
to these guys.
Right.
Like, the other teams figured out, like, you can push the Cavs around. They have big guys, but you can push them around inside if you have the right physical play.
So you need a center who's basically a backup who against those other big centers
who can
play more often.
Yes.
Who can play important minutes.
Right.
Which is
maybe he's a guy who plays 12 minutes a night on a lot of nights, but when you're playing against the top centers, he plays 20 minutes that night.
I got a question for you guys. So we ran through the list. I'll give you 10 through 1 real quick just to finalize it. But Morant, Zion, Paolo, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Tyrese Maxey, Tyrese Halliburton, Luka, SGA, Anthony Edwards, and Wemby's the top 10. So we've ran through the whole list.
Yeah.
Are the Cavs appropriately placed? Are they being overvalued, undervalued? How do you think the Ringer did in ranking their top 25 players in our 25? DG was 24 and Mobley was 15.
I think Evan should be higher.
Mobley's probably in the right spot.
I think Darius should be. I'm sorry, I meant Darius.
What?
Yeah, I think Darius should be higher.
You ain't got a graphic with all that?
I think Evan's probably about where he should be.
If anything, Evan should be a little lower, maybe.
No, I like him where he's at. I like him where he's at.
All right.
Him tied with Trae
So they got
Young.
2.
All right.
I think Darius could easily be
At
19th
at his peak.
on that list.
He was 17th last year when they did this.
Yeah. Okay.
What was Mobley?
I'll have to go back and look. I just made that note from last time.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think
Maybe he wasn't on there.
I think Darius could easily be in the top 20.
You like him over Desmond Bain?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
I'm just asking. Who was 22 and 21?
On this list this year?
Yeah.
LaMelo's 20, Jalen Johnson 21, and Jalen Green 22.
Jalen Green's good. I like him over Jalen Johnson, though. He could be lower.
I'm not a big LaMelo guy, but that's just me. I'm not a big LaMelo fan.
I believe in a healthy at his peak. I think Darius could be better than LaMelo. The only thing LaMelo got over is the passing. Like his passing is really good.
There's a couple other names on that list I thought he could be higher than.
Jaren Jackson, Franz Wagner, Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Brandon
hard.
Miller was balling like that this year, huh? I didn't know.
He had a great rookie season.
Really?
It's hard. Like how do you compare Wagner and Darius? They're two completely different positions. Completely different
Like comparing an
responsibilities.
offensive lineman and a running back.
Yeah, it depends on your team needs and everything else.
Yeah.
But like I would take. Maybe I'm in the minority.
Take DG over Wagner?
Yeah, But again, like
Wagner?
I'm sort of throwing out last year a little bit.
That's what you would have to do. If you just say you take them 2 years, if you take Franz this year and DG's All-Star year,
Oh, I'd take Darius.
I would take Darius.
Well,
All right.
Wagner had this was his worst season this year, ironically.
Really?
Both coming off bad seasons.
Well, he looked good against the Cavs.
All right, Mike. What are we going to now?
We're going to stick with Cavs for one last topic here, guys, but quick